Roger, Roger.
Welcome, everybody, to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders weekly review of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Today, we are discussing Season 1, Episode 5, Rookies.
Yeah! This is a very straightforward episode that I ended up enjoying a lot more than I thought I would the second time around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I remember it being kind of bland, and initially I was a little worried because with the closing bumper, I like to have something, just an asinine comment from Ahsoka, but there was no Ahsoka, so it's like, shit. Is somebody going to say something really stupid?
Yeah.
It's not the best, but I got something.
You got something. All right. Well, I noticed something, and I'm curious as if you noticed this as well. And I don't know why it just stuck out in my head, and I had to go look it up online. There was, at the very opening of this episode, there was a droid DJ, circa Vietnam era, talking about how this song goes out to the mud jumpers of the 224th on Mimban. And as soon as she said Mimban, I thought, fucking Han Solo. Where was Han Solo? What unit was he in? And he was in the 224th. So she called out Han Solo's unit on Mimban, which I thought was a super cool little Easter egg that Han Solo had to figure out to put in for it to make sense.
Yeah, that's a deep fucking cut. I didn't even catch that, so good on you.
Fucking cool, man. It just like triggered in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, wait a second. Wait. I felt like Sherlock Holmes for a minute. It was pretty cool. Like a poor man's Sherlock Holmes.
Falling down the rabbit hole of Wikipedia.
Yeah. I couldn't even find it there either. I had to go to Quora. I don't even know where it was. It was just a search result. But Quora. And thank you to David Fett from Studied Star Wars who gave that answer, because I would never have known for sure if it wasn't for you. Thanks, man.
Fucking A.
All right, so the premise of this episode is we're basically looking at a tracking station on the Rishi moon, which is on the outer rim, and it's basically just, a station meant to observe any traffic going by. Now, there's some really large, flawed premises within this. As far as like military strategy goes, why would you only have one tracking station with no way of getting on or getting off of it, and no military backup to guard the only cloning facility that you have on Kamino?
Yeah, I thought that was, well, especially such a light posting. I mean, they had like 7 dudes before they started getting blown up.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all.
No, not at all.
There should be like a station garrison there.
Yeah, and for it to be the only one on the moon, like, you should have at least a couple of outposts on a fucking moon.
Or if you have a sole planet that generates the only military force that you have, then maybe have just, I don't know, a couple military bases around it.
Yeah. Like, no shit.
Kamino itself doesn't even have an official military force there. And so why... I don't understand why they would just not have it. And okay, so that bugged me. But other than that, the entirety of the episode is really hyper focused on this one tracking station. And so I started thinking of it in terms of The Thing, for example, where super claustrophobic setting, there's no getting it on, there's no leaving, you just have to survive. And I love that idea of, if you leave, you're going to die from the environment. If you stay, you're going to die from the invader, whatever the case may be. And another thing that was very interesting about this episode is that the station itself was taken over twice by 2 different droid forces. The first time, it was commando droids, which are these brand new droids that was created just for this episode and then future episodes. But Dave Filoni really did not like the idea of just the B-1 droids being the only sort of, troop force. But he understood that was the first generation the Separatists created. It was meant for mass casualties and sort of overwhelmed with mass numbers. And so, he understood that, and that's why he kept it in for the second takeover of the base, to still prove that even in mass numbers, B1s are still a threat. But these commando droids had much fewer people, and they took the entire base in, what equates to like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense that you would have essentially like a special forces, and that's essentially what they are.
I really like that too, because since we've been doing these reviews, I've been bitching about the B1s. It's nice to know that other people understand that, and they had to come up with some sort of intelligent droid. And again, they said that they don't even manufacture the B1s anymore. Technically, that was like the first generation, so they just made so many of them that they're just sort of prevalent throughout the different bases and the different units. And the other side of this I really appreciated was the dynamic between the clones. And we got a taste of this in the first episode, where it was just Yoda sort of connecting with the troopers. In this particular case, it pulled me back to like an Alien or a Platoon, where you got to see the dynamic of just the troops. And
yeah, definitely.
Being a veteran, there are some really great and so quickly made bonds between troops, and it's really nice to see that played out even on this tiny little minuscule scale of this show, where you get to see the personality of these droids, of these clones, and you get a sense that they took identities for themselves, whether it was Heavy or Fives or the Joker or whatever it was. The only way they could carve out a little individuality, they did, and I really appreciated that, because you got to see, not only are they going to be talking smack amongst each other, but as soon as their sergeant came into the room, it was straight hardcore, we're going to do exactly what we're supposed to do, because ultimately we're soldiers.
Yeah.
But then Sarge gets blown up by the damn commando droids, and 4 of them escape the invasion of these droid commanders. One gets eaten by a frickin' Rishi eel.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Like out of nowhere.
Completely forgot about that shit happening.
Well, okay, so this is the second thing that really, really bugs me. And this, again, I've been like calling out other 80s movies throughout this whole thing, so I'm going to call it Beetlejuice, because this was very Sandworm. Like, just came out of nowhere. You're like, what the fuck is that? Why would it eat a metal person? That doesn't make sense. It would be like, what it should have been, in my opinion, was Dagobah when R2 was swallowed and then spit back out. Because the eel would have been like, ooh, I cannot digest this meal. I must spit you back out.
You never know what they eat on that moon. I mean, it seems pretty desolate, so maybe their stomach can handle whatever.
All right. Well,
I'm really stretching right now.
Shitting on my shitty points.
Nope, I am really stretching right now.
And so it's down to 3 troops. And coincidentally, just as the inspection team, which was a sort of brief mention at the very start of the episode, starts coming in. This inspection team is comprised of Commander Cody and Captain Rex, arguably the 2 most powerful clones in the entire clone army, and the first in command under Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, also known, as the unit of the 501st. That's right, people. It will eventually turn into Vader's fist.
Yeah.
Super cool. So I love all these little callbacks to that. I always thought that was awesome. But then just seeing, like, we saw the commandos against, again, this episode's called Rookies. These are all, like, brand new troops, except for the Sarge. And so they're sort of cutting their teeth on this. They've, this is a shitty first duty unit, to be fair. This is sort of like a retirement base that they should have, like, old clones here, not new ones, in my opinion. But the commander, Captain Rex and Commander Cody, immediately get a whiff of something wrong when their troops are saying "Roger, Roger" back to them, and madness ensues as they, just sort of get rushed off of the platform bridge and meet up with the other troops, and then they have to fight their way back in, retaking the tracking station. And then ultimately having to destroy it in order to alert the Republic.
See, I feel like you're missing something really important.
I'm sorry.
The dumbest part of this show, or this episode, which was the funniest because it's so damn asinine, is how they get back in when there's only 4 of them and there's a whole platoon of, the badass droids.
Yeah. Good point.
Like, oh, I'm gonna take my helmet off. Shit, quick, grab me the head. Roger.
Is there something wrong with your vocabulator? Take the helmet off.
That was so good.
That was.
And they fucking opened. It was just dumb.
I just love the palm slap that one of the troops was doing at the door. He was like, "This is never going to fucking work." And then the doors open. They're just like, "Huh, not much of an evolution from B1 to Commando." All right. Stupid is stupid does.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I did gloss over that. I should have brought that up because that was just one of those scenes where you're just like, "That's this what? No."
Like, why are you doing that?
Like, okay, this is Star Wars. All right. Yeah, and so ultimately, Heavy has to sacrifice himself in order to destroy the station, which then flags the Republic, and they come in and basically scare the shit out of Grievous into, tucking tail and running.
Oh yeah, they don't even fight. They're just like, oh shit, cheese it.
Talk about mobilization time, though.
Yeah, that was fucking quick.
Like they were all like just waiting to hit hyperspace. Every other episode we've seen so far, it takes forever for them to mobilize and get reinforcements in. The whole movie was based around this premise that it took forever to get reinforcements, so you're gonna have to hold off as long as you can. Yeah. And then this, in less than a blink of an eye, they're there ready to kick Grievous's ass.
Well, I think part of it was the fact that they are actively looking for Grievous, and they understand that he's going to be going towards Camino, and this is the last outpost on its way to Camino. So I don't find it that surprising that they just kind of were like, bam, in there.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, it is funny.
It's just super fast. You think of the amount of people required to run one of those Star Destroyers, let alone, I don't know what there were, like 5 of them or something, and to all coordinate at the same time. And I guess they were staged and waiting to hear from them, so it's not that crazy, I guess. It just seemed fast as all.
Yeah.
But either way, that's pretty much the episode. And so the surviving 2 rookies are given awards of valor or something. It never really said what it was. Just an award for surviving.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know, a purple.
Hey, you destroyed your shit. Here, good job.
Congratulations on surviving. You're better than a B1. They got their B1 awards. That's what it was. And then they were absorbed into the 501st. And that was the entirety of the episode. So what was your favorite part about this? Was it that stupid hedge thing?
Oh, of course. That, and then, I mean, I'm a fucking sucker for any time they mention the 501st. So, yeah, the wacky antics to get in, and well, even I guess before they blow up, Heavy just wiping everybody out until they overtake him, and then he blows them all up. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I loved the connection aspect of this episode. So you've already mentioned the 501st, and at the top of this I mentioned the 224th. That deep cut reference was totally irrelevant, and it didn't have to have any connection anywhere. And yet freaking Kasdan made a point to research with the story group and make that connection just for us fans. And that used to be like a regular occurrence, whether it's with the Clone Wars or with the prequels or any of the cartoons or anything. But now with this new sequel trilogy, they don't even give a fuck. Like, there's no connections at all. And so I feel so gypped when I get to have these little moments like, oh my gosh, I've got to look and see if that connects, because it would be awesome if it did. And holy shit, it does. And holy shit, 501st. And oh my gosh, Vader's fist. And then nowadays, it's just like no one cares anymore.
Yeah, I blame the mouse, because they were like, oh, okay, we'll get some people to, make a list of all the shit that we need to keep, and then they just changed their minds. Yes. And I think from that point on, they were just like, yeah, no, fuck it, they're gonna eat whatever we give them.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping with Kennedy's replacement next year, she takes more concern and care in forcing connections, because that's what we love about this universe.
Oh yeah,
are all the little connections. All right, so what's your least favorite part of this episode?
I guess just the sort of the convenience of everything happening at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And it even though there are stakes and we do lose a character that we somewhat sympathize with, like, it just everything was so fast and just kind of open and shut. I was like, you could have stretched this out at least a little bit more.
Yeah. I really, again, I already harped on this once, but my least favorite was the fact that there's these glaring holes in the protection of the only cloning facility they have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is the most. But you could have made any other excuse, like, oh, it's one of our training depots, or it's a supply depot that they're protecting. Is anything other than the cloning facility. Because I understand it impresses the importance of surviving on this station to the clones on the station itself.
Mm.
But, like, you have 8 people guarding your entire cloning facility on a moon that they can't even leave? Come on.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Well, okay, I guess one thing that did bother me now that I'm starting to think of it is like the all clear signal. Like that's what they keep waiting for is to see, like, oh, well, nope, everything's still hunky dory, so let's not fly in. It's like you would think there would almost be like a remote way to fucking be like, oh, nope, let's kill this signal so people can come rescue us.
Yeah. If only there was 2 Jedi that were masters that could reach out with the Force.
Fuck.
To sense their own 2 close commanders. Like, I feel like they could have done that. They could have just been like, all right, give me half a second, everyone, shut up.
Yeah.
Fuck, they're in trouble. Let's go. Like, Obi-Wan's acting like an idiot. Well, the signal's still on, so Commander Cody would have said something.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Well, I don't know. Again, this is kind of stretching, I'm sure, but I can kind of buy into that shit because, I mean, the whole lead up to the end of Revenge of the Sith is the Jedi losing their oneness with the Force, like losing their ability to use it. So it's grasping at straws.
Okay.
I can buy it under that circumstance.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to buy it because otherwise I'm just gonna go crazy. I'll just go mad. All right, and that's it for our review. It does sound like we're bitching about every episode, but the truth is, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm fucking loving it. I'm like, I mean, God, we were talking about it, I think, last episode where it's hard for me to only watch one episode and not just keep going.
Yeah. I didn't watch the preview for the next one, so I'm going in completely blind next week, which is kind of exciting.
Oh yeah, that's how I'm doing it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching or tuning in. Excuse me. And let us know if there's any aspects of this we didn't cover that you would like to bring up, or if we are totally full of shit and you can't stand us. Either way, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much. And until next review, till next week when we actually have a HoloNet News episode coming, may the Force be with you.
Do we take prisoners?
I remembered. What's up, Princess Mimi?